Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back. So, something different, right? We are, right in a new season. So season 3, I think most people, if not everyone, expected that Konami would release something new. But that wasn't the case. I believe today Konami released another storyline, so I still need to check that one out. But again, this is for me something new, is something to keep me motivated, I guess, because again, Konami, needs to update stuff, right? It needs to give us like maybe more ranks or whatever. But for now, I'm not too super motivated to get myself to Platinum 1 again. So I'm trying to test things out, having some fun, and this is one thing that I'm kind of liking for now, is that I want to make like the most budget like decks. Is that as you saw maybe in like the title or thumbnail, is that I want to focus on a deck that only plays normals or rares. So the thing is that there are archetypes like Virtual World, for example, or here in this case Tenyi. Basically, most of the main deck cards are quite cheap. Most of them are, like common, normal, or rare. So again, super cheap to just craft. You don't really want to buy the pack, since the most useless CP are the normal and the rare ones, right? You can just eventually craft them away. So my goal here is, with these like small series, I guess, is to make the most budget-alike decks, multiple archetypes, and try to take on, good decks, top-tier decks. For example, Dinosaurs. And that's a small problem I still have, is your play testing, and you're like, from all the matches you're playing against so many random decks. So picked like about 4 replays that I had earlier today and yesterday. So let's zoom in. First one is Dinosaurs, and as you saw in the deck list, it's basically pure Tenyi. Most of the cards are indeed normal or rare CP, so that's super cheap to get. This is, I guess, a basic Dino combo, bar maybe a Lagia and or Dolka. Probably Lagia for spell and trap negation, so no Lagia, and this hand is great. You can, at least I wanted to force out the Conductor, because the Wind Barrier statue is there. It prevents the baby Ceratosaurus from special summoning, at least, other than a wind. But here, one of my favorite cards ever in this game's history, because it's a super old school card, and that's this card. That's Needle Sealing. Needle Sealing, again, when 4 or more monsters on the field, all face-up monsters are destroyed. So delicious. It's a delicious card. Plus it's a cheap card, and nobody expects it. So basically, what's the goal of the deck? I mean, if you know Tenyis, we are seeing them now competitively here in the TCG with Sword Soul. It's an archetype that we might hopefully get soon on Master Duel as well. But they're all Worm type, if I'm not mistaken. They should be. They have multiple graveyard effects as well, like Vishuda here, the one on the left, banish itself from the graveyard to bounce something from your opponent. So it's a compulse, again, fantastic. One gets back from your banished pile, one, prevents destruction, I guess. Or when it's destroyed, like this one, the water one, that's also one, or at least one of the most important ones that you want to get in your grave as soon as possible, because it has the capability to reborn your normal Link Tenyi, the Link 3 here in this case, because that's the most cheap one. You're not running the super rare, which I believe is the Link 2. Obviously you can pimp out the deck, but that's not the core strategy of these kind of decks or videos. The thing is that there are some really powerful traps that are super cheap, like Triple Torrential. Torrential is, I believe, a rare. It's, again, super cheap to craft. Needle Sealing is a super cheap card. One of my favorite traps next to Needle Sealing is Last Winds. It's basically an Impermanence plus, and that's something I really like about Last Winds, is that it can recur itself from the graveyard as soon as your opponent special summons from the deck. Anyway, so next matchup goes second again. I kinda prefer going second. Mystical Space Typhoon is kinda budget, no Lightning Storm, no Twin Twister, no Harpy's Feather Duster, but went for Mystical Space Typhoon, but, we knew the Revolt was there to kind of force out the Omen. But in the long run, it still wasn't the best play because the Link 3 is there. So small mistake on my part, because again my opponent always has the capability to use the Omen during my turn. So I tried to force stuff out, and eventually I added something new to the deck, was Parallel Exceed. Dragon, I believe the name is. It's basically a free rank 4. That could be important because you want to have like normal exceeds on your side of the field. Diamond Crab King is not a normal exceed, but Pearl is one of them, like 2600. The extra deck, it's not the best extra deck, but again, you want to stay as cheap as possible. Your boss monster is this one, your Link 3 Berserker, and their Link 1, and as you saw, I recently added in Yugioh as well, because the biggest weakness I have now with this deck is that it's super reliant on your Link 1. Again, you want to link away your Link 1 plays, like what happens here with I believe the name is Go for the Monk, and I believe this is the third copy of Monk that hits the board, and you most of these graveyard effects, you can only use them if you control a normal type monster, or not a non-effect monster. So basically their Link 1, for example. So that's why Yugioh is there to kind of special summon itself to the field and potentially, like Pot of Avarice, your entire monster lineup from the graveyard back to the deck. So that's cool. Plus it's, another monster on the field. And plus Yugioh is also like a super cheap card to craft. But I knew this was coming. Tri Brigade is probably the best deck, if not obviously one of the best decks currently on Master Duel. So, but it was fine. And here, I'm a Monk here definitely would have been nice. Would have, potentially linked away the Vishuda, and then, I would have been able to use the graveyard effect. So here you see that when you're out of Monks, your Link 1, it becomes a problem. So that's why Yugioh is there. But again, if you have any opinions, suggestions, definitely let me know. Get an Exceed, always. But it's fine now, since this deck kinda is running a lot of traps. And that's something I haven't mentioned yet. This Sangan is there, but the Tenyi archetype also has its own, what is it called? Solemn Judgment alike card. Their trap here in my hand, but it only works if you have their links on the field. And yeah, obviously due to Maxi wasn't able to go for that. But it's again another Tri Brigade build. It's Tri Brigade Birds that my opponent is playing. Again another Maxi, so I have to pass. But we know, at least we know, that the opponent is kind of weak, has a weak setup, a weak hand. So I'm definitely going to negate the, what is it called, Bird Call, the Searcher. Because again, my opponent is showing a lot of weaknesses, right? So draw Last Wind, that's perfect. It's basically a double negation against like this particular deck. When your opponent again special summons something from the extra deck, you can reset it. The Imperm, was this, I think this was a mistake on my, I don't know, or did I want to force out the back row? Yeah, that might be something, even though it wasn't the best play, I guess. So go for the Link 3, and then, get Adhara on the field. That's the level 1 tuner, which could potentially get something back from the banished pile. Again, keep your resources going. That's very important. Here again, my opponent is very weak. Shows a lot of weaknesses, so I'm definitely going to Last Wind the Bird Search. Again, you don't want to give your opponent multiple Exceed summons. Plus, if your opponent does have another extender, you could potentially get back the Last Winds from the graveyard, right? So I go all in, and this should be game. Yep, should be game. So really cool. And that's the thing, you're playing such a cheap deck, a really easy to craft deck. You don't need to buy any packs. And again, your goal is, set yourself, new goals. The goal is to beat like the best decks, top tier decks. And no joke, I actually played multiple Gravekeeper decks. As you know, Necro Valley says that you can't like remove cards from your graveyard. You can't interact with them. And as you know, like this deck, it's based around the graveyard. But obviously, that's of course the biggest gimmick, I guess, for Gravekeeper. So I was about to say all in, but again, get as much damage in as possible. But again, the Dino Mysticus is there, the Paleozoic Trap, which again is superb. It's a super cheap card. It's kind of like a Raigeki Break, discard anything to banish a card from the opponent. And obviously, it's so versatile, it either hits the monster or the field spell, here in this case, Necro Valley. So yeah, it's kind of turning into a small grind game. Sangan, it's cool. And here, Okay, it was another duel, but the thing is that I'm kind of greedy, maybe, you know, more, like the better play, I guess, was to just attack first, see if my opponent has, like, Torrential Tribute or something like that, but, okay, the Sengen does pay for itself, but the better play probably would have been to just go for, you know, attack and go from there. So Barbaros, that's something I haven't seen in years. Beast King Barbaros. Basically, it's a big beat stick that, let's say, with skill drain, if your opponent has like skill drain, Beast King Barbaros, you know, puts itself back to 3k attack. So that's a cool gimmick, but here I should be able to go for game. 1000 plus the Visuda, if my opponent does not have any interruption. So go for Tenyi, because, yep, indeed, I have one Omni Negation being the trap, yep. So the compulse is revealed, and this should be exactly game. I can't remember what the set is. So anyway, I'm definitely having fun with this, like, new goal that I set myself, because, again, the updates are staying away. Hopefully, you know, we get more information about, you know, the ladder or the synchro/fusion events that might come out soon, but I'm really liking this, like, just, you know, build your cheap decks. So again, if you have any builds or themes or archetypes that, you know, like have the same purpose, definitely let me know. I'm definitely interested. Or suggestions for this build, feel free to let me know. Okay, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. Feel free to leave a comment or like if you enjoyed the video. Lead them signing out. Peace.